Hey guys, welcome to the Paleo Transition. Today I am really excited to bring to you a special guest. It's not often that we get to talk to a medical doctor, a traditional trained medical doctor who understands nutrition, who understands the paleo diet and is in support of it. And so I'm really excited to welcome our special guest. First of all, this is Terry Shanahan with the Paleo Transition. And our guest today is Dr. Brad Winterstein. And Brad is with us. He took some time out of his busy schedule. The audio might be a little bit light, but hopefully you guys can hear us. And I'm really excited to introduce you to Brad and to get his perspective. Like I said, a medical doctor. I just pulled up on the screen a picture of Brad and his beautiful wife, and she's also all about paleo. So Brad, welcome to this interview. Thank you so much for giving us some of your time. I would love for you to just to kind of tell everybody a little bit about yourself, about the type of medicine you practice, and just give them kind of a background.
Thanks, Terry, for having me. My background goes, I'm a trained general surgeon with, over the last probably 7 to 8 years, also been doing bariatric surgery or weight loss surgeries as well. I've been native here in Omaha, Nebraska. Born and raised just outside of Omaha, stayed here through my training and residency, and now I work here in Omaha. That's the little bit about me.
Awesome. So it's kind of ironic because you're in a position where you're doing surgeries, a lot of times for people who are very obese, probably almost life-threatening, yet you're such a paleo buff and a CrossFit guy. It's kind of ironic, but tell us about your patients. Are most of them kind of beyond the point where diet could potentially help them right now, or what does a typical patient look like for you?
Well, I have a lot of different types of patients. In my bariatric, obviously those people are for the mainstay, in their over 250 pounds or BMIs greater than 40 or well above. I mean, I have some patients I know into the 70s, 80s, 90s BMIs. And so I think definitely something else needs to be done for some of them because it is some things. Now, what I will tell all of my patients, especially my weight loss patients, is I can do a great operation for them and it'll work for a year or two. But if I can't change them over the long term, and that's where my background in paleo comes from, to try to at least get them changed into more whole foods and real foods and staying away from processed food. If that's the best I can do, whether it's pure paleo or not, that's where their long-term benefits come from, and we can get them off all their diabetic medications and hypertensive medications and allow them to start enjoying life a little bit better.
Awesome.
Now, as far as my other types of patients, I also have a lot of other patients that I see on a daily basis for just pain-related and gut pain and things that, they think they may need an operation to take their gallbladder out or have something just to go in and look. Now, a lot of those patients, especially over the last 3, 4, 5 years, I've been probably hurting myself as far as a physician goes because it pays a lot better to, take their gallbladders out, and if it doesn't work, well, I don't know, I didn't fix them. But I've been really working towards allowing those patients and talking with those patients to try to convince them that, diet is an important part of abdominal pain and things like that. And actually, Terry, I've had you see, a handful of my patients as well, and I appreciate you for that.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It's I remember the first time we met was actually at a CrossFit gym, CrossFit 402 in Omaha. I was doing a paleo talk there, and I was kind of nervous. I was halfway through my talk, and you came in scrubs, and I'm thinking, oh gosh, here's an MD. He's either gonna hate what I'm saying or he's gonna love it, and you never know because I feel like with the medical community, a lot of them are pretty frank with me, and they just say, I don't know about nutrition. It's not part of my practice. It's not part of my education. But I feel like there's a lot of medical professionals who, I don't know how to say this politically correct, but just don't get it, and they haven't kept up on the research. And So kind of tell us how you discovered paleo and how, and by the way, I was very, delighted or surprised when Dr. Winterstein afterwards came up to me and told me he had been on paleo. He was all about it and he loved what I said. So that was pretty exciting because we need more, physicians in the world who understand nutrition because it is definitely related to a lot of the things that you probably treat. So tell us a little bit, how did you discover paleo?
Paleo basically came around once I started doing CrossFit, but obviously doing weight loss surgeries, I had been, tinkering with Atkins types things, and because I just knew that low fat type of diet that we've been preaching since the 70s hasn't worked. Otherwise, I'd be out of business.
Right.
So I was always kind of looking at that, not until I really started CrossFit and really getting into that a little bit, about 2.5, 3 years ago, that I became really paleo conscious. But I was always kind of on that track, just looking for something more that I knew my patients needed, more than just surgery, because I know, like I said, it's long term that you've all heard of people having weight loss surgeries that regain all their weight, or they're just as sick as they were. That wasn't what I wanted to do for my patients, and so I've been looking for that, and for the last 2.5 years been really, really stressing more paleo than anything else.
Awesome. And I'm with you. I mean, you said earlier, sometimes you can't get them to go all the way, but I used to be pretty black and white. I mean, I had to be black and white with my health issues. It was all or nothing, but I think the thing that you said earlier about pushing them towards real food, I think that's a key statement. This is overwhelming for some people. You and I probably didn't start on day one. I mean, we transitioned over time, and that's my big push right now with this program, the Paleo Transition. It's just how to transition people in the right way, and I think that's really powerful when they're hearing it from an MD, because everything you say is gospel, and everything I say is scrutinized. So tell us kind of what you noticed, like you and your family. What has paleo done for you guys?
The biggest thing really for me is just, I don't have the ups and downs. Like I said, I'll have a full day in the operating room or something where, I might not eat, but my body's adjusted to basically living on fat burning that you can do for the long time, as far as just overall endurance and workout stuff. I know when I haven't been strict. You can definitely see it in just how I'm performing at the gym and things like that. And so I noticed that quite a bit. As far as my family, my wife, she's been off and on, and very proud of her since she started this transition. Been much better paleo than I have. I mean, she's gone all in, and I've fallen off a couple times. But, she's had some mild issues like you have, just abdominal pains, and that's kind of also how we came about this, is just kind of fixing her pains, which I thought was surgical for the longest time and never had to do an operation for, because we finally figured out what it was that did cause the problems.
That's awesome. That's a great story. Most of the stuff, I would assume in medical school and certainly in residency, nutrition was not part of the protocol, or if it was, maybe very, very little. But I think you and I both agree that most of the stuff people learn in school, whether it be grade school, high school, college, medical school, whatever, a lot of the nutrition information we learn is just wrong, and it's kind of sad. What do you think about that? I mean, one, can you tell us, did you cover much in medical school with respect to nutrition, and why do you think that there's such a there's such poor information out there in the medical world and in the media?
Well, as far as what we learned in medical school on nutrition, I can't even remember. I'm sure there was, but I can't remember a set course of, hey, we're going to learn nutrition this week. Now, we learned about, how carbohydrates are, burned, and how we make fuel and all those things, but basic nutrition, never even, I can't remember it at all. Probably learned more, false stuff because of the food pyramid back when you were in elementary school than you actually learned in medical school. So, that's the thing as far as that goes. Now, what's an interesting thing is with this information that's out there, the government says we have to do this and things, and the new push from our government as far as healthy school lunches about a year ago or so. It was interesting at my son's high school. He would get a chicken breast. I can't remember if it was grilled or possibly fried, but he would get a chicken breast every day for lunch. And then they started the school year next year after these new recommendations came out, and they had to take away the chicken breast because it was actually 4 grams of protein, and they substituted it with a hot dog, which only had 3 grams of protein, because we were getting our high school kids too much protein.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah, so I mean that's the line of where we're at as far as the information that we're even getting from the government and everyone else. So it's just hard to break through that, as you know.
Yeah, it is. It's tough. It's tough, and I mean I can't commend you enough for being, because you're in such a position of power. I see it all the time. I have a lot of clients. I mean, my work is informational. I teach people. I give them information. I tell them where to go. But at the end of the day, they still need to work with a physician. I'm not allowed to, and I don't give medical advice. And so, we have so many physicians out there who just don't get this stuff. And so what do you think, people like you and I who are passionate about this, how can we change that? How can we better educate people? I mean, I've sort of found that, I'm looking for the people who are ready, and I want to share my information and my story with them. And then, a lot of these people just need to become their own advocates and sort of take some of their care in their own hands, and then, hope to God they can find somebody like you. But what can we do to really change this situation? Is there anything that you can think of?
It's tough, and the way the medical field is anymore is so specialized and so push to see more and more people, whether you're helping them or not, because of the way our restrictions are. Like I said, it is really tough. And even when I have time to sit down and people look at me in the lounge and they see my stuff I bring from home, and they wonder what it is, and I tell them, well, I made this, and it's got grass-fed beef and olives and raisins and some sweet potato on top, and they kind of look at me like, what are you doing? There's free food right there. I won't eat it. And so that brings up the conversations, but yet no one really gravitates to that because everyone is so compartmentalized. I know of one other physician here in the Omaha area that really does stress paleo, and thankfully he is a primary care physician, but I don't think he gets into it as much, but everyone else just tries to shy away because, I don't think they believe it because of what the regulations or recommendations are from everyone else, especially dietitians.
Right.
And B, just time constraints. And so you really have to find, I tell my patients that, if you want help, you're going to have to help yourself more than we're going to help you, because I can lead you in that direction, and I can have you see Terry and do some of these things, but until people really decide that they can help themselves, now trying to find people to help them through that is great. And but again, it comes down to really, unfortunately, patient-driven.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. So looking on the other side of this scope, tell us about like the typical objections or comments that you get from colleagues. I had, you and I traded messages last week when this U.S. News report came out on paleo, and there were 22, so-called experts, and I just thought it was just, it got me pretty fired up because it was just careless, and it was incompetent, in my opinion. They said that there's one study on paleo. There's at least 7 directly on paleo. There's hundreds of other studies that would be correlated to paleo with respect to grains and gluten and gut health and insulin resistance and all kinds of different things. But it's really frustrating when that type of stuff comes out in the media. And I know you probably catch some flack or resistance or objections from other medical professionals who just don't really understand this stuff. Kind of tell us about some of those conversations. I mean, what are some of the things you hear, and when you have the opportunity, do you kind of fight back and try to educate them, or how does that conversation usually go?
Well, a lot of the conversations, I mean, even one of my partners that I operate with, his wife, has a lot of problems and absolutely has to be gluten-free and is pretty close to strict paleo. And I know he would do well, and he knows he does well if he at least cuts out grains, but he just can't. He just won't, And so it's kind of funny on that regard that we'll talk, and I'll sit and watch him eat, and he'll have all of his allergic reactions and problems and stuff, and we talk about it, but he just, like I said, he needs to learn to help himself. The other interesting comments run the range of, why is it that the paleo only lets you eat 1 meal a day, or, why can't I have fruits with this, or, and so if anyone knows me very well, they know I don't tend to keep my comments or my opinions to myself very easily, and so I do, try to correct them or at least engage them in conversation about where they're getting their advice from, and it's someone that's never, even looked into it, just kind of heard on an offshot, or maybe basically read a news report, like the U.S. News Report, that said it's a horrible thing. And so I do try to engage people, especially my colleagues, as much as I can. And, slowly I see some people changing a little bit here and there. And hopefully it just takes time, as you know.
Yeah. What do you think are the key things that other medical practitioners need to know, whether it's about paleo or about nutrition? Are there like a couple of very key, simple things you wish other medical professionals knew?
Oh, that's a tough one. I guess if anything else is to actually believe that food acts as a medication. Yeah. And why shouldn't it? Personally, I don't do a lot for what I do, but a lot of physicians will give medications for high blood pressure or diabetes or whatever the ailment, and that's something that you take, you ingest, your body reacts in a certain way. I would love for them to actually look at food in the same way. Why is it not that if you ingest something, it's going to act maybe beneficial, it gives you nutrition, calories, or in a harmful way, and possibly both at the same time? It can give you calories but also act harmful. I think if we could look at it that way, that'll start changing people's minds a little bit as far as how you look at how food is processed and what we're actually eating. I think that's the biggest thing for me. If I can just get people to think that way, some people will start coming around.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I think we have to keep it simple. Sometimes you and I maybe would have conversations about really high level stuff, but we've got to remember the average person doesn't know any of this, and quite frankly, no disrespect, but most physicians don't know because, again, it's not part of your expertise. Mm-hmm. It's not why you're paid. You guys, the thing that I definitely, I feel for doctors because I've gotten to know a lot more physicians over the last couple years, and I have more of them like you who are embracing this and who are, sending me people to talk to. But there is so much pressure for you guys to know your one niche, and that one niche is, that's serious stuff. You're doing major surgeries, so you just don't have enough time in the day to possibly know all these things. And for you, it sounds like it was, hit close to home with your family, and it's a hobby, it's a passion for you, and so that's why you're so educated about it. But I don't blame a lot of the medical community because you have to know your niche, you have to know your expertise, and there's just not enough time outside of that. But the thing that gets frustrating is when we do have so-called experts just give people blatantly the wrong information that's harmful for them, and I think that's troubling to me. For the people going through the paleo transition course, you know, you've been around this for 3 to 5 years. You said I've you know, first started tackling my own health issues almost 10 years ago. What do you think are the biggest health benefits like you see? Like, so Dr. Winterstein, you tell somebody to do paleo one day or 1 week or in passing, and 6 months later they come back and they, you know, whether it's a patient or a friend, what are the most common benefits that you see that people are achieving?
A lot of them just their overall health. I mean, I see a lot of people in the hospital that, you know, hear me talk about this and that, and they'll never come out and say it, but they'll catch me on the sides, and I've just had this terrible pains, and I'm actually working with, as we speak, I'm getting texts from one of them about what should I do because my pain's getting worse, and it's just that after 3 to 6 months, and it's not quick, you know, and that's the thing I tell them is that, you know, if I just did an operation, I might make you better, but I don't think it's going to help you. Then we get to start all over. If you just give it a month or so, if I'm wrong, okay, we're at the same point. But you get your life back. You know, you
Right.
have pains, and at the very least, if you don't go strict paleo, at least now you know why you're having these ailments, your pain. You can control your health by your diet, and if that's the best benefit I can give them, is that, well, now it's your decision if you're going to have this problem. You put it in their hands, and you just enlighten them to that point, I think is one of the better things. But most of them will know that now they've gotten rid of their ailments and pains and things that it just gives them their life back and overall health.
Yeah. It's amazing what, you know, 30 to 60 days on strict paleo will do. I mean, a lot of people who think they're pretty well and don't have any major conditions, I mean, they're like, you know, just shocked at the energy or the clarity or the sleep or workout recovery performance. I mean, it's pretty incredible. What advice would you give to someone who is just starting out? You know, you had a couple really good comments this week for people in our online coaching forum, private group. And what are some of the things you tell people? Because people do get frustrated if they don't see results immediately, like if they don't lose 5-10 pounds in the first 2 weeks, if they have cravings, if they have dips in energy. What are some just basic things you think people need to know?
The biggest thing is that it's not a diet, and I hate the paleo diet what they talk about, because to me a diet's set up to fail, and so I hate that word itself, diet, because they think you should get quick results. Our you know, society's been taught that you should get instant gratification. It's not. I mean, it took people this long to get to where they're at for their issues, whether it's weight or whether it is, you know, just medical issues and not feeling well. And so it's a process, and you're not going to win overnight. And so that's why, you know, 3 weeks, 6 weeks, couple of 3 months, you need to really see over time and just be patient with it. There's ups and downs, and you're not going to be perfect.
Right.
But there are little things, especially this online community, I think is probably one of the best things, because people are going through it just the same. And if you just went and talked to your friend across the street, you know, they'd wonder what the heck you were doing. But, you know, if you've got that community and that accountability as far as what's going on, I think that's the best thing you can really have people do, is just stick with it. Over time, it will improve every aspect of your life.
Yep, definitely. That's great advice. What else? Anything else we should talk about before I let you go and get back to your busy life?
No, I mean, I think this is a great conversation. Actually, just to let you know, Terry, one of my patients that came in to, actually I had him see you just over a year ago. I operated on him for something else, and he was having a lot of problems. He came in just out of the blue today and wanted to say thank you, and that we had saved his life because of everything, and it was 1 year ago today, and so
Wow.
It was quite nice that he just happened to stop in before I had a chance to come on the webinar here today. And so it is changing people, and you forget that at times too. So,
yeah. No, absolutely. We've got to take it one day at a time. You know, sometimes I get frustrated, you get frustrated, you know, whether you're battling your colleagues or we're battling the media. But the coolest thing is, I mean, within our little group we've got started here, it's going to grow big, and there's a lot of amazing stories, like life-changing stuff. And
yep.
We have to always remember that, and remember that we just have to keep helping one person at a time. And it works. You can't argue with results. You know, there's so many people who've got great results and have had life-changing events, and so we just have to kind of take one day at a time. Now, let me ask you this: if anybody's listening who's in Omaha, do you take new patients, or are you pretty booked?
Oh, I always take new patients.
Okay, great. How could they get a hold of you if somebody wanted to you know, come in and see you, whether it be for a second opinion about surgery or whatever? I guess let me feel free to tell us kind of who your ideal patient would be, or who's somebody that you could help.
Well, again, I wear many hats, and so my obviously from a weight loss standpoint, there's a website called Methodist Bariatrics that you could go to, methodistbariatrics.com. But as far as just overall just abdominal issues that people think you need surgery for, or think someone needs to take your gallbladder out for, and you're having questions because really all the studies are normal, you can reach me at my office at Physicians Clinic Health or Surgery West office at 402-354-8163, and you can set up an appointment with me. And so we do a lot of stuff over there as far as that goes, that you know, also doesn't necessarily have a lot of paleo ties, but it's amazing how many times that I'll see them and I see that they have maybe some diabetes or they have some of this, and I'm seeing them maybe for a colon cancer, and by the end of the time I'm talking paleo to them as well. So
Yeah.
Everything kind of comes together, and so but yeah, you can those are the ways to reach me for the most part.
Awesome. Dr. Winterstein, first, again, I just want to congratulate you on being, you know, one of the professional, you know, one of the MDs in the professional medical world who is thinking outside of the box, who, you know, who's doing it. And I think you're ahead of your time. And I think we're both early adopters in this, but I'm excited to see what the next 5, 10, 20 years looks like. And I just want to really, really thank you for your time. The information you shared today was super valuable. And I think it really just validates this whole movement to hear from somebody like you. So thanks a lot for your time. I really appreciate it. And we will be in touch, and we'll definitely see you on the private Facebook forum.
Anytime, Terry.
Thanks a lot. We'll talk to you soon.
Yep.
Bye-bye.